Yo, we're live. What's up, everybody? Let me send these guys the link. I didn't even send them the link to join yet. They could be sitting there waiting. AJ. And then let's send one over to... What's going on, guys? How about that Central Florida to get it started? Even though it looks like Georgia Tech's pulling a little bit of a comeback. I might start 2-0 here. Georgia Tech was looking out of this game. Now they're down 5 shooting free throws with 7 minutes left. So could a 2-0 start is potentially in the cards here for me. March Madness is different, man. It's a lot of fun. It's tough. I feel like I would have to go back and look at my bets, but I feel like I always lose money in March Madness. I mean, I have a ton of fun, but I know 2 years ago I got wrecked, 2022, because I remember tweeting about it. Like, I remember sending out a tweet like, I'm not betting March Madness next year. Like, all some pissed off shit. So I know I got wrecked 2 years ago, but pretty sure I finished in the red last year as well. March Madness is tough. Toast, man. Go. Toast, hey, nice pick on Oklahoma State, jackass. I sat here working. Andy's here right now, and we sat here watching that game, and he was talking shit all in the first half, getting aki about Oklahoma State. Peace. Got their asses beat in the second half. Prop Beaver has made it. Let's get Prop Beaver up on the screen. People are dying to hear from him. Prop Beaver coming off a sweep, thinking he's the shit.
I'm not in love with this slate, but I do have picks for pretty much every game, so we'll have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
only
this?
2 prop plays today, though.
The poll: will Prop Beaver sweep back-to-back slates?
I mean, I'm probably only have 2 plays, maybe 3, so that makes it more achievable.
Yeah, it's a set achievable goals. I always say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ronald made it too. What's up, man? Doing good. Wow. Did you see what I tweeted out? We're on the Kings against those two.
They're on point, dude. They're just you do it so quickly too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we got 2.5 minutes before we start, just in case somebody was waiting until 4 p.m. to join. People like the countdowns, and I found that viewers, it's done better viewers-wise, because I guess people get in and get settled, and they have a chance to, instead of, they can see the notification and they're not able to join right away. So,
gotcha, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good idea to do the countdowns. Ronald, you
give them a chance to be themselves.
Do you mess around with college basketball, or are you like AJ and don't do it?
I have my model set up for it. I'm really picky though. Like because there's so many games, I try to find the ones that has like just really the most value on it. But I don't like cap it the way that I do NBA.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how anyone could responsibly do both. I mean, when I make my college basketball videos, Andy writes them for me. So, like, he does all the handicapping and the writing. I'm literally just the host. I'm just reading off his notes.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
And then I make the pick based on his notes. They're my picks, but they're based on somebody else's work. The NBA videos, me and Prop Beaver do together. So that's the combination of 2 of us. That's how we were able to get those videos so in depth.
Yeah.
Mostly me, though.
No. In fact.
Prop Beaver deserves a lot of credit for the NFL ones. He writes most of those, and those videos are his NFL writing is. I'd put him up against anybody.
That's dope.
But basketball.
MLB,
oh my God, MLB. Yeah, right.
Oh baby. Listen. I could make some hell of a point in MLB. Will the points come to fruition? No.
If they
but I
don't
can make a
translate,
hell of a point.
if they don't translate into wins, who gives a shit?
It's entertaining.
Steven Harrison, what's up, man? Haven't talked to Steven in a while, man. Oh, you know what?
Provocative.
Steve, you probably don't even have my new number. That's why. I got a new phone. So you're probably texting my old number. So that's probably why I haven't talked to you in a while. MLB Beaver with exclamation point, said Toasty. You must not remember when Beaver quit in disgrace last MLB season.
I was going through a tough time. Things were happening. Just had to let go for a little bit.
You know what, though? You took that month off or whatever, and you didn't take the month off from work. He just took the month off from handicapping and making his own picks. And then he came back and had like a savage NFL season. So maybe that month off is what you needed.
Yeah, you know.
Toasty said he bought a Mitch Keller shirt.
That's
Mitch Keller?
That's sickening. I don't know. Last year was his breakout, and I was looking at the numbers in a whole last season. I was like, oh, that wasn't even that crazy. Like,
April to July was a breakout.
Yeah, when you do the beginning of the MLB, do you guys look at previous season stats, or do you look at
right now? What I'm compiling is like the last 3 years stats, and what I'm doing is looking at like splits. So I'm making a spreadsheet and looking at like the best spot to bet like an over for like a batter or whatever, and the best spot to bet like an under and stuff like that. Same with like pitchers. So that's what I'm looking at least going into prep. Last year when I did it, I only looked at the previous season, and while that actually was pretty solid for us because we were doing well to start the season, I feel like if I get a bigger sample size last 3 years, that'd be the best way to do that.
I feel like last year we were, and I'm putting the poll. We're going to get started, not to ramble about baseball. But I feel like last year we used a lot of spring training stuff for the first couple weeks of the season, which I didn't
and it was a shorter spring training.
Yeah. But all right, so it's the first game, and this is an interesting one because if you watch Ski's show, he's on the Knicks. I have the Knicks in a parlay, so I'll put that up. I'm sure you guys have seen this by now, but this is what I'm on. I placed this last night. I placed it. I have Knicks and Clips paired together. I got it at plus 102, so we're at minus 101 now. Still get it around the same price. And quick reasoning, I'm assuming you guys have already heard me say it, but the quick reasoning is teams in these spots, when you're a favorite and you lose to a team, and then you play the exact same team the next game and you're a favorite again, have an insane hit rate. Like, Ski pulled it up. It was like 78% or something wild.
Yeah, after the All-Star break or something like that.
After the All-Star break, it was like 78% or something. So this particular spot is huge for the Knicks. They're in a very profitable spot historically. And also, I know everyone's talking about Maxey being back, but OG Anunoby's also back. The Knicks with OG Anunoby in the lineup this year, 14-2. Now, they did have a very questionable schedule during that stretch. They were playing basically every bad team in the league. But 14-2 with OG Anunoby on the floor. So, yeah, I put the Knicks in a parlay with the Clips. But the reason this is interesting, because Ronald said he was leaning Sixers, and he's the only person I talked to that was leaning Philly. So I'm interested to hear his reasoning here.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a game that I put, my money on, but I think there's a few things that pointed me towards the Sixers here. Obviously, you mentioned like OG coming back, right? But he's been gone for 18 games, and if you look at, I don't know, I haven't seen anything yet as far as like minutes restriction, but I'm assuming he probably will likely be on one. I don't think Maxey will be, and I think Maxey is just as important to the Sixers as OG is to the Knicks. I mean, for different reasons though, right? Because Maxey, the Sixers without Maxey, they were really struggling offensively. I think they averaged less than 105 points per game without him, and also with Embiid out as well. 1-7 straight up is what I see here. 3-4-1 ATS, but with him in the lineup, they average about 6 or 7 more points per game. From a spread perspective, still not that great, right? 8-14. But one thing that we see in the NBA a lot, especially with key players coming back who had a huge impact, gone for multiple games, they come back the first game, that team tends to struggle. I mean, I don't think the Knicks were really in a situation where they had their chemistry all together, but this kind of just makes it a little bit worse in my opinion. I think they're going to take a few games to get gelled together. I think Maxey only missed 2 games with that concussion. And you're seeing OG come back after 18 games. In my opinion, I think that's just a much bigger impact. If you look at the 18 games here without OG, 8-10 straight up, 6-12 ATS, 14-4 to the under. That's telling me that the Knicks have been struggling a lot, especially from the offensive side of the ball. from what I see here, they've only gone over their team total in 3 out of those 18 games. From an offensive perspective, if Randall's not back, I mean, OG is a really great defender, right? But I don't think he's going to move the needle offensively, in my opinion. So that's the reason why I was like, all right, well, I think there's an over adjustment with this line for the Knicks here for them to be at -6. I don't think there's that big of a gap, especially with this being OG's first game back. My model actually has the Sixers covering this game. Obviously, OG is not part of that from a holistic perspective, but yeah, I just think that the impact is going to be a lot bigger on the OG side than Maxey.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely feel what you're saying about maybe OG coming back after missing such a big, maybe not the hugest factor. I still like the Knicks in a bounce back spot, and I think I would still play the Knicks even without OG. But I definitely do agree with that point. Prop Ever?
I don't really love anything in this game, honestly, so I'm just going to pass for now.
That's such a coward move.
Yeah.
60,
I just don't want to waste people's times. I got nothing to say. Why am I going to say anything?
62%, 23%. So Knicks definitely win the poll. As you would probably imagine, most people betting the Knicks here. Most of the action coming in on New York. Next game. Indiana at Oklahoma City. Ronald, you know what I'm on. What are your...
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you're on the over.
I'm on the over. I do like the over here. I think one thing that was kind of that made me pause last night, just thinking about Ben Mathurin being out and how that impacts them getting to the lane, getting to the free throw line, and all that stuff. But I think the last 2 games that I've seen, it doesn't give me too much worry, I guess, just based off of who they played, because they played against really tough defenses. Yeah, but on the season, including the last 2 games without Mathurin, not really profitable. 2-4 ATS without him. Pacers also on the first leg of back-to-back games, they got the Bulls on deck, so not that great of a situational spot. But the Thunder here, I mean, they've been winning games, they just haven't been covering them. This is a line where we could kind of see that happening here at 6. I think last night, I even saw it at like a 7. But this is one of those lines where the Pacers can cover the line, but not, obviously still lose the game. I think the good Jalen Williams is questionable. They're 3-4 ATS without him, so that's something to kind of think about as you get like the injury statuses later in the day. He was present at shoot around is what I saw, but I mean, we've seen with a couple guys in the last few weeks where people show up at shoot around. I think De'Aaron Fox was one of them. Showed up at shoot around, didn't end up playing that game. So I think that's something to think about there. From a recent form perspective, I think offensive and defensive side of the ball, this is looking like sort of a layup drill. I think both teams have been really successful getting to the paint and really struggling defending the paint as well. One thing that I've seen on the Pacers side that gives them sort of an advantage here is getting to the free throw line. If you look at the last 8 games, they've been able to get to the free throw line at a higher rate than the Thunder, and the Thunder are actually sending opponents to the free throw line at the 7th highest rate. And then if you look at how the pace is, this is why I like the over, is because, I mean, you look at the last 8 games, 5th fastest pace for the Pacers, 8th for the Thunder. So they're going quickly. If the Pacers are going to go to the free throw line a lot, that stops the clock, free points, and more possessions. Pacers, why I also lean the Pacers here, 10-3-1 ATS as road dogs, especially with these higher totals. I looked at totals of 240 or more, so they like these higher paced games. They're more successful at it than the Thunder are. But also, when you look at on the Thunder side, 240 or more totals, they go way up. 7-1-2 to the over in those games for the Thunder. They actually score 130 points per game in those spots. I don't believe that any of them went into OT either. So from a spread perspective, I would lean Pacers, but I actually ended up taking the over.
Prop Peaver. So, by the way, our thinking's very aligned on this one. But I'll go last. I'm pretty sure everyone knows that I'm on the Pacers, though. But Prop Beaver, I saw an SGA prop. Did I see from you?
Yeah, I went SGA over 38.5 points plus rebounds, but we got a bit of a weird situation with the line here. I posted this at 38.5 last night. Now, if you bet this on FanDuel and PointsBet, you got some nice CLV. This moved up to 39.5. If you were on DK, Caesars, or MGM, you actually lost a point in CLV. That's now
they moved in different directions.
Yes,
That's
and
good.
no book is at 38.5. As I posted in my write-up last night, 38.5 is a very key number here. So if you're going to be tailing me on this one, do not take it at 39.5. Take it on DK, MGM, Caesars, Bet365. They all have it at that 37.5. And I love the matchup for SGA here. Let me talk about it. I'm expecting a competitive matchup here. Very fast paced. Both teams top 5 in pace over the last 10 games. And at home with 30 plus minutes, SGA is 16-7 to the over, averaging 39.3. And over his last 13 of 16 at home in these spots, averaging 39.5. Now facing Indy team that's allowed the second most points per game and 5th most rebounds per game to point guards over the last 30 days. And the Pacers' weakness all year has been in the interior. Over the last 20 games, they sit 21st and 27th in rim frequency and efficiency, while 21st and 19th in paint frequency and efficiency. And that's music to our ears because 69% of SGA's attempts come from those two zones, while 15% of his shots come from three-pointer, the Pacers' defensive strength. So that's great for us. The matchup's perfect for them. And another angle I love is the Pacers' lack of discipline in terms of free throws. They're 28th in terms of defensive free throw rate this season, and SGA is 98th percentile in terms of shot attempts he's fouled on. We've seen his last 3 matchups against Indy. He posts 44, 26, and 48 points plus rebounds. There's also potential that Jalen Williams does sit in this game. I personally think he's going to sit. I know he participated in shoot-arounds, but he had an ankle injury earlier in the season. Same ankle got sprained. I just think with the playoffs approaching, it'd be a bit ridiculous to force him back. So even if he does play, I love SGA here in this fast-paced spot. High-usage guys have been killing Indy all year. We just took Ant Edwards against them and cashed out. This is a guy with insane usage. Should do numbers here.
All right. So, as you guys know, I am on Indiana here. And there's a number of reasons. And just to reiterate what I said earlier, this is not me I'm not betting the line here. I don't think, Indiana's undervalued. I don't think this line's off at all. So the Oklahoma City laying 6 points at home. That means to be about 2 on a neutral court. 2.5. That sounds about right. In fact, maybe even a little bit undervalued for Oklahoma City. It's not really a play on the line. This is a bet on how I think this basketball game is going to go. And the example I used earlier today was the Pacers matchups against the Boston Celtics. Pacers beat the Celtics earlier in the season because what they do is they bait you into playing the run and gun game, right? They want you sprinting up and down the court with them. They bait you into it. Let's go. Let's run. Because they know if you play that game, Pacers can beat anybody in that kind of basketball game. Bucket for bucket. That's what the Pacers want to play. And if you fall for that trap and play that game, they can beat you. Ask the Celtics. But what happened in the second game? Celtics made them play half-court, slow-paced basketball and got him back in a pretty violent way. I think they beat him bad, if I remember correctly. Can't even remember. But so the reason I brought that up, Oklahoma City wants to play fast too. They want to run up and down the court and run the fast break. They will happily fall into that trap and run back and forth and go bucket for bucket with the Pacers. So I think Oklahoma City, the way they plays right into the strength for Indiana. There's no way I want to be laying points with either team in this kind of game. I think they're going to go basket for basket, and holding 6 points in my pocket at the end just sounds like a profitable spot to be in. Now, look, both these guys briefly mentioned it. The Indiana Pacers defense at the rim is a concern. Like Prop Beaver said, they're 21st and 27th at the basket in the last 10 games. That's the last 10 games. Here's the thing, and take this with a grain of salt. Oklahoma City, in their last 5 games against bottom 5 rim defenses, 1-4 against the spread. So you would think Oklahoma City, this dynamite rim attacking team, probably blowing teams out that can't protect the basket. No, they're not. They're not covering. So I'm pretty comfortable here in my position. I actually got it at 6.5 on FanDuel. It moved up to 7, so I lost a half point, but now it's back down to 6. So I'm even more confident. I think I'm on the right side in this one. I'm not playing the money line because if you guys have watched my stuff, you know the experiment I'm running this year because of the math. Ronald would actually probably find this interesting. So I ran before the season started since 2000. NBA underdogs, 5 points or less. If you've been betting the money line, you're up more. So this season, I'm trying an experiment. When I like an underdog 5 points or less, I'm splitting my money in half and doing money line. It's been very successful so far in this one season, small sample size. This doesn't fit the mold because we're at 6 points. So only taking the points, not playing the money line, like my position on the Pacers.
Hell yeah, brother.
I might actually end up taking the Pacers. I think you kind of talked me into it. I was already leaning that way, but it makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, I just think the way this game's going to be played, I don't want to be laying points with either side. Next up, we got the Wizards, and honestly, my confidence about this bet is on life. It's on life support. I already placed
It's
it.
gonna be at the floor.
Yeah, it's on life support. I already placed it, and I'm holding the Wizards ticket. I'm not backing out. I'm just the more I think about it, the more I talk to people, the more I'm like, So good news, Ronald agrees with me.
Yeah.
I agree with you too.
Yeah. All right. Let's
Yeah.
let's get some Wizard graphics on the screen for us then. Let's post them up. All right. So we're all putting Wizards graphics up to start. So let's get us all up. All right. You want to start us off, probably here?
Yeah, sure. I just simply refuse to back the Grizzlies without both JJJ and Vince Williams Jr. If one of them's out, you could probably get me. You could talk me into it. Without both of them, I just can't do it. I feel like Vince Williams Jr. is a very underrated anchor to this G League Grizzlies teams. And the last 3 times he sat, the Grizzlies last all 3 by an average of 26.7 points per game, averaging 92.7 points per game. The only angle I like offensively for Memphis is that they attack the paint. But JJJ is the one who attacks the paint. He's 93rd percentile in paint frequency. So if he's not attacking the paint, I don't really love that. The only other shot zone that they lean on, really, Memphis, is the above the break 3. The Wizards are a top 10 defense in the above the break 3 over the last 10 games and over the last 5 games, both in frequency and efficiency. So I'm just really not seeing it there. So it's disgusting to lay points with Washington. It's even more disgusting to lay points on the road. But like, what the hell are you supposed to do here? If you have to pick the game, you gotta lay points with the Wizards. Even more disgusting, I'm considering a Lamar Stevens prop when the line drops.
Wow. But I mean, I can't even add anything to that because that's basically the reason I'm on Washington also. And something I found, Memphis 2-5 against the spread against top 3 fast break teams, top in efficiency. That's about the only thing the Wizards do well is run the fast break. So something Memphis has struggled with. They don't have the worst numbers against the fast break, but the results speak for themselves. 2-5 against the number. A team that's been pretty good against the spread recently struggles when teams are able to run an efficient fast break. So yeah, I'm on the Wizards. It's one of my smaller bets, but I am on it.
Yeah, man. I think you guys kind of mentioned everything that I was kind of thinking about as well. The one piece about the Triple J and Vince Williams, because I totally agree about Vince Williams. I looked at the how the Grizzlies have done when both of those guys are out. Because if you look at the injury report, it's almost like how does the Grizzlies have enough players to even play this game? That's how long that injury report list is. But specifically, Triple J and Vince Williams out. There was one game this season. They lost that game by 40, and obviously it was against the Celtics, right? But the Celtics didn't have 3 of their starters. Tatum didn't play. I think KP didn't. 2 of the other guys didn't play either. Their third string players, the Celtics' third string players were all plus 11 in minimum minutes. At least plus 11. I think it was one of the guys that had like 9 minutes, and the third string had like plus 16 or something like that. But the lowest was plus 11 for their third string players. So I mean, this is a situation where you there's no way you can back a team with these types of people, these types of players on the roster. So yeah, Wizards -2 was the only thing I took last night, overnight, and yeah, there's no way that can go against it.
Yeah, so we're a Wizards program today, and Community's with us, 60% to 25% on Washington. So Community's leaning towards Wizards also. This line, when I first started recording, this line I saw -1. Then I was done recording. It was -1.5. Then I went to upload and I uploaded it, and it was at 2.5. So line's been consistently, slowly moving towards Washington as well. Next game, Houston at San Antonio. Curious to see where Ronald's at on this one. This is another one where I'm in on it, but I don't necessarily love my side. I know Ski was leaning towards the Rockets, which is not my side. But it doesn't sound like he was crazy about it either. Ronald, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I would actually lean towards the Rockets side as well. I know the Rockets. So the Rockets, if you look at them here, I think the biggest piece is Şengün missing, right? But from like a regular season, like one-off game perspective and a matchup perspective, I think Jock Landale and Jeff Green are actually pretty decent replacements in this matchup. For one thing, they're able to stretch the floor. Both of those guys can shoot the 3 ball, and that's going to bring Wemby out, right? That's the biggest piece of the Spurs defense is just him being in the paint, protecting the paint, causing problems there. Rockets, I mean, I know they're not the best, most efficient 3-point shooting team, but with guys like Landale and Jeff Green who are more efficient from the deep ball with the deep ball than Sengun, I think that's going to make an impact here. They have covered six straight, 1-4 of the last 5 as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they are playing pretty well right now. One thing that, sort of the opposite of what I mentioned about key players coming back in. When the first game a key player is gone, the rest of the team usually steps up, and that's the situation the Rockets are in today. I know the Spurs also, they're coming off a second leg of back there, and they're playing the second leg of back-to-back games. They played against the Warriors yesterday. To me, I think this is a situation where it's not a good spot for the Spurs, and that's the reason why I like the Rockets for the most part. Spurs on the second back-to-back, they're only 2-8 straight up, 4-6 against the spread. So it's not a situation that they're profitable in. Another thing that I looked at from the Spurs side, when the books expect a slower pace, defensive type game, like an ugly game, I looked at Spurs where the games are total set at 225 or less. They're just 1-7 straight up, 2-6 ATS. So they don't tend to perform well in these ugly games. So a lot of things to me pointed towards the Rockets, but it's nothing like I'm confident in to put a bet on.
So you're lean towards the Rockets.
Yeah, lean towards the Rockets.
Prop Beaver, what do you think of this here from Annie in the comments? Fred VanVleet, over 7.5 assists, best player prop for her. That's her favorite bet of the day.
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't mind it. He just hit the mark against them the last time they faced off, and that was with Sengun. Now you take him out. Sengun's the secondary guy in terms of potential assists. I forgot the reason I didn't wind up getting to it. I looked at that prop. I didn't wind up getting to it for some reason. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad option at all whatsoever. If you like that lean, go ahead with it. So yeah. And then in terms of what I'd be betting, I don't really have a lean for the game. I do have 2 leans for props. I'm kind of on the same side as you in terms of the Houston thinking. I want to attack that rim defense for the Spurs that's been absolutely horrendous. So 2 guys that I'm looking at right now are, obviously, I have to look at a Thompson brother. I got a Ben Thompson, and then I got Jock Landale. So the reason I'm looking at Thompson is his last 2 games, we just saw him with 26 and 20 minutes. He had 9 and 10 field goal attempts, leading to 13 and 16 points. And that was before both Sengun and Cam Whitmer were both out. RotoWire is projecting him for 26 minutes here, and I think he could be sneakily undervalued because they tend to do that with guys coming off the bench. 65% of Thompson's shots come at the rim. He's also great in transition, and the Spurs have been mediocre there, so I'm going to be looking at that. And then Landale, he's thrusted into the starting 5 role. Most likely, we'll see if Jeff Green starts with Sengun out, and 66% of his shots come at the rim. Centers have been cooking the Spurs lately. Spurs have allowed the most points per game, 4th highest field goal percentage, 7th most 3-pointers made, and 7th most rebounds per game to centers over the last 30 days. Landale started his career as a Spur, and I'm sure he'd love to get some revenge against the team that let him go in a chance to earn another contract elsewhere.
And you said if you had to take a pick, you would lean towards the Rockets also?
Yeah, if I had to. If you put a gun to my head, as a wise man once said.
Am I the only one in the world on the Spurs? I already bet it too. But like Ronald, Ski, like people I trust are on the Rockets here. I'm on San Antonio. It's one of my smaller bets, but I don't see, if you want to make an argument against the Spurs scoring points here, sure, I'm all ears, but I don't see how you're going to get me there with the Rockets offense laying points on the road. I mean, the last time these 2 teams played, Sengun scored 45 points, exploited the Spurs' bad defense on the interior. Who's going to do that here? Who's going to take advantage of this? I don't know who's going to score all these paints on the inside for San Antonio. And Ronald, were you watching Ski's show for this part when he pulled up the 3-point defense?
3-point defense, yeah. I think
Spurs.
Fourth in the last 5 games or something like that. Yeah, the
Spurs have been playing lockdown defense against the 3-point shot. And if that continues, if the Spurs show up and take away the 3-point shot from Houston, where are the points coming from here for the Rockets? I could get it. And Ski's rebuttal to me was, well, where are the points coming from the Spurs? Fair point. But I'm not the one laying points in the road game here. Like, I feel like if you're laying points on the road, you have to make the case, not me. This should be – I would also lean towards the under. But I don't see any offense having success in this game. San Antonio's look good. The only reason I faded the Spurs last night and took Golden State in that parlay was I like the spot for Golden State coming off a loss to the team. All of a sudden, the whole world's doubting them, and everyone's taking the Spurs and on a short line against the Warriors, you think the Warriors are going to lose back-to-back to the Spurs? That's why I faded them last night. As a whole, the Spurs have looked pretty good recently, and I think they win this game. So I'm on the Spurs. Like I said, it's a smaller bet, and some people I trust are leaning towards the Rockets. So, yeah, I'm holding my ticket. I'm seeing it through. But yeah, I'm on the Spurs.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, shit. Josh is in the comments. What's up, man? 49%, 38%. Oh,
LYB? Oh, LYB?
Next game up. Boston at Utah. Property, do you have something for me here, man? Because I ain't got nothing.
I got something. Can the Celtics stop dropping their injury report 5 minutes before we do the show? It's now happened 2 days in a row. This is ridiculous.
I'll contact the team. I'll be like, guys, listen.
Yeah,
Boston.
please. Yeah, contact Missoula because this is just getting out of hand. Yeah, I don't really know what to do. In terms of the matchup, everything that I looked at from a data perspective tells me the Celtics should wipe the floor with the Jazz. But now there's no Porzingis, there's no Brown. They're on a back-to-back. They're on the road. That's the only point. I was looking at the splits. That's the only point where their defense ranks 15th or worse in efficiency. So it's like, I think I have to take the points with Utah. I think I just talked myself into it. It's absolutely disgusting. It's truly vile. It makes me sick. But I think I have to take the points with these dirty Jazz. They've actually been covering at home lately, too. I think the 3-0 gets spread the last 3 at home. So let's go Jazz.
Yeah, I guess I have to. I'm in the same boat. I would only go Jazz here. I would only take the points for the Jazz. I haven't bet it, most likely not betting it. And one thing you got to give the Jazz credit for, they're still rebounding well. Even without Markkanen, even Walker Kessler missing time, not 100%, they're still an elite rebounding team somehow. And the rebounding, okay, so let me see. What's the best way to explain this? So rebounding, when I'm handicapping basketball games, I would put rebounding on the same level, like philosophically, as stopping the run in football, where it's like it's kind of something you can hang your hat on. Like it's something, it's hustle based, you know. So when you got a team at home that plays much better at home, that everyone's counting out, catching a big number that can rebound and could potentially win the rebounding battle on both sides of the floor. It's just a profitable side to be on long term. But like I said, like Prop Beaver mentioned, the Jazz have been so bad, and it's really hard to actually physically put my physical money on this. But I think long term in this kind of spot, Jazz +7 would be the profitable move here. I don't think if Ronald's about to come on here and be like, I like the Jazz and here's why, I'll tail. But as of right now, it's Jazz or pass.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely like 100% a Jazz spot. But to me, like, there's a couple things that I was looking at. So the line moved a half a point when KP, Horford, and Brown were announced out, right? And I think originally it was just KP who was on the injury report. I think Drew was on there too, but Drew is going to be in from what it looks like. That's already to me sort of a telling line that I don't think the line has moved as much as it should have. One thing that I was thinking about here, like I said, Jazz spot, but matchup perspective, it's all over the Spurs side. The Celtics side. So what I wanted to look at was the matchups from a player-to-player perspective, right? Markkanen is out for the Jazz. They have been profitable from a spread perspective, but the team that they did, cover against, they were all bottom feeders. They beat they covered against the Blazers twice, the Wizards and the Pistons. I think the best team that they did cover against was the Bulls, and the Bulls are a play-in team, and now they're playing a Celtics squad. Obviously, they are shorthanded, but you still got Drew, you still got Tatum, you still got Derek White, right? That's a really good trio of players there, and then you got capable guys like what's his name, Tillman that came from the Grizzlies, right? He's a capable replacement player who can rebound. In my opinion, I think Cornette is someone who who plays hard. Obviously, he's not like a big name player, but when he's on the court, he does make a difference from a rebounding perspective. And he does those like hustle plays, right? Like the tip-in dunks and shit like that. So, in my opinion, I think in a one-off game, in a replacement, in a situation like this, they still have the best three players on the court, in my opinion, right? So I mean, you're pretty much getting the Celtics in a discount at this point. So I can only look towards the Celtics side. Spot all over the Jazz for sure, right? The schedule spot and everything. But man, matchup perspective, Boston is the only way I could look.
I think, Ronald, you had a great point about the fact that the line barely moved. That's usually the telltale sign right there. That's the death kiss.
Someone just said it's down to 5.5, but I looked and I'm not seeing.
When I saw
I'm seeing 6.5 and 6s now, so it did move.
Yeah. Here's a couple things too. So with Brown out, so I looked at Celtics without Brown. They're actually 5-0 straight up, 4-1 ATS. Opponents are actually 4-1 to their team total under when Brown is not in the lineup. The only game that went over, they went over because of OT. And then I looked at Horford and Porzingis out in the same time, 2-0 straight up, 2-0 to the over. Actually, the one game that they went under, Tatum didn't. The one game they didn't cover, Tatum didn't play as well. So they missed Horford, Porzingis, and Tatum. The other thing too, there's a huge rest advantage for the Jazz, right? 2+ days rest advantage for the Jazz. The interesting thing about the Celtics, they're actually 3-0 straight up and against the spread when at least a 2-day disadvantage, which is crazy. They did it against the Raptors and Magic at home, and then they beat the Mavs in Dallas by 9. So to me, this is like Celtics could accidentally cover this game.
Accidentally cover it. So our poll is leaning towards the Celtics. Not overwhelmingly, though. There is a bunch of people that click Jazz. It's 51%, 36%. So Celtics win the poll, but it's not crazy. All right, next game. What do we got next? Bucks Kings. All right, Ronald, we're on a team on this one. Bucks minus. Is this? I'm pretty sure it was 1.5. So I'll put it at 1.5.
I think they flipped to favorite for a second.
Really? They must have saw my tweet.
One of the books that I saw just recently, because I was looking at the game.
It looks like it's 1 now, consensus.
Oh, okay.
Well, but it's a juiced 1. So this might be just a pure. You know what? Screw it. I'm running this as a pick'em.
I think it's a pick'em. I think it might close as a pick'em.
I'm seeing a juiced +1 across the board, so that means it's a pick'em. So let's go. Bucks money line, Kings money line, pass. That's where we're running with the poll. All right. So you guys know that I'm leaning towards the Kings here. I haven't actually bet it, but I put that graphic up because me and Ski have gone head-to-head the past 2 live shows. So I saw an opportunity to take another shot at Ski. We split, so we're going to see who wins the grudge match here. Sounds like Ronald's agreeing with me, leaning towards the Kings. I'm going to put Kings up, and this really comes down to right here, Sacramento +1. This really comes down to, do you believe in the recent drop-off from the Bucks defense? Because we rewind 1 week ago, Milwaukee had maybe the second or third hottest defense in the NBA behind maybe the Miami Heat or the Celtics. The Bucks were playing some serious defense. Then they go out on the West Coast on this road trip, right? This is their 4th game of that road trip. So this is their 4th game of a West Coast road trip. In the first 3, their defense looks terrible. They should be 0-3. Their only win, they're 1-2 in those 3 games on the West Coast. Their only win was against a Clippers team that was missing Paul George, Kawhi, and was playing its 2nd game in 22 hours. It was a terrible spot for the Clippers, and guess what? The Bucks still almost lost that game. So whatever was going on with the Bucks when things were looking great about a week and a half ago, it's gone. Because I don't like the way the Bucks have looked on this road trip at all. They should be 0-3. The defense looks terrible. Now, when you're dealing with a team like the Bucks that are loaded with talent like this, of course they could show up at any time. But based on what we've seen during this road trip, I think the Bucks are like, they need to get back home and get to that home game against Philly, which is on Thursday night, I believe. That's what they need to do. They look terrible on this road trip, and they're playing a Kings team at home that you know is going to show up. They're going to score 115, 120 points. Well, they're going to score efficiently, I should say. Who knows how the pace is going to go. This is a Kings team that also, I like this angle too, and I didn't mention this on Ski's show. So So the Kings efficiency, Ronald, let me know what you think of these numbers, because me and Prop Beaver were talking about this. So the Kings 3-point defense, right? The efficiency numbers are bad, but the frequency numbers first, meaning they don't let you get shots off. When they do get 3-point shot against them, they make them at a high rate. But basically that just tells me the only 3-point shots getting taken on the Kings are the ones that get kicked out to wide open shooters. I don't think the Kings are letting the opponents getting 3-point shots off on them. In fact, I believe in the last 10 games, they're 4th or 5th in above the break 3-pointers made allowed. If you take the 3-point shot away from this Bucks offense, I don't know what else is there. I don't even know how good it is. I like the Kings here, and I think I'm going to actually pull the trigger and add it onto the ticket.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've added more weight to the frequency numbers as of late, but
Me too.
Ronald. Yeah,
because one of the things that I was thinking about, because I've noticed this with the Kings team, like throughout the season, they don't allow a lot of 3-point shots because the way when I'm watching them play their defense, they force you to attack the rim, and that's why they give up a lot of points in the paint, is because they're actually letting you, right? They don't want you to shoot threes. That's what I was, I was kind of thinking about that when I look at their defense and their efficiency numbers and all that stuff. It's kind of weird, but to me it makes a lot of sense, because they want you to score 2 so that they can score 3, or you know what I mean, like it's all that analytic stuff that they talk about when it comes to this. But for the most part, dude, like I'm aligned with the Kings here. Initially, I was actually looking towards the Bucks, but when I dove deeper into it, because one thing that I've seen with the Kings here, when they're at home against these non-conference opponents, they tend to give up a lot of points. One thing that I saw was opponents in that situation 11-1 to their team total over. But if you look at some of the teams that they played, they were kind of in bad spots. And in this one here, I'm sorry, they were in a bad spot. The Kings were in a bad spot. But if you look at the Bucks, I dove deeper onto the Bucks side. They don't travel well, especially on the west side. So I looked at them on the road in non-conference games. They're just 3-9 against the spread, 9-2 to the under. They actually really struggle offensively in these road non-conference games. They're only averaging 113.1 points per game. And then another thing to mention too, if they're on the last leg of a road trip, and I looked at just at least two road games in a row, and this doesn't matter if they're on the West Coast or on the East side. It's just if they're on 2 straight road games in a row, and then their next game is at home. So basically, the end of a road trip, they're 9-1 to the under. They're only averaging 114.3 points per game. So these are these situations. The longer they're on the road, or the further they are on the road, they tend to struggle offensively. It's just something that happens with these guys. So that's the reason why I kind of look towards the Kings here. I think that the Bucks are just in a bad spot, scheduling spot, travel spot as well. The other thing to mention from a total perspective, it's really nasty, but I'm looking towards the under in this one. It's an ugly play. I get it.
22 straight overs.
How do you take an under in this spot? But if you look at the pace of these teams, if you look at pre-All-Star break, right? Pace for the Bucks was 102, Kings was 100.6. After the break, the Bucks are 97 and the Kings are 98.2. That's a huge discrepancy in how much slower they're going in pace. And then you bring the fact that the Bucks have become a little bit better defensively. Obviously, the last 3 games they've struggled, but you can tell they're a different team with Doc Rivers as a team defensively, right? So to me, a slower pace compared to what we've seen before. Two top tier teams. I always look at this too. When 2 teams are really good, like better teams in their conferences or whatever, when they line up, they typically play a playoff type of atmosphere type game, and that tends to be slower pace and defensive minded. So it's an ugly play. But if you look at it and where the line has moved compared to how where people expect it to be, it's actually come down from open, if I'm not mistaken. And most of the people I'm hearing is saying over. I mean, to me,
22 straight.
That's a sign of an under type game to me.
Yeah, I would only go over because of the trend, 22 straight, but I don't know if that's a really logical way to bet the game. So I mean, I do see where you're coming from on the under. Prop Beaver?
Yeah, I am on an over here, not the over, but I am on an over here. I'm on Domantas Sabonis over 8.5 assists and 10+ assists here. As it's mentioned, I mean, 22 games in a row have gone over. Now, this game doesn't need to go over, but as long as it's even decently high scoring, I really love for Domas to dime it up here. His last 2 matchups against Milwaukee, he had 15 assists in each on 31 and 18 potential assists. That's just simply absurd. And while Milwaukee's defense did look hot out of the break, we just mentioned last 3 games, defensive rating of 123.2. That would rank 30th in the NBA on a season-long basis by nearly 4 points. And even during their hot streak, what has Milwaukee's Achilles heel been defensively? It's defending the above the break 3. They're setting 24th in frequency and 26th in efficiency their last 10 games. That is the shot zone that Sabonis assists to the most. 36% of his assists go there. And I feel he's being a bit discounted to a 3-game stretch where Fox missed 2 of them and the other one Sacramento struggled in. As a result, he's under his last 4 or 6. But if you look at his last 15 games overall, actually last 14 games overall with Fox, he's 10-4 to the over, averaging 9.9, hitting 9 but not 10 assists in just one of those scenarios. Sabonis is playing some heavy minutes lately, and with just 32 plus minutes at home and Fox, he's over 8.5 his last 13 and 19, and 10 plus in 11 of those 19. I just think like the Kings tend to play to their level of competition, so some of these looks that they wouldn't convert against a dog shit Pistons team, they will convert against a very good Bucks team. And I expect that to happen tonight. So betting on Sabonis to keep showing up against these Bucks.
I just ran a poll. Does the streak continue? We'll give it 5 seconds over under. See, I would imagine most people coming in on the over. I'm wondering if Ronald swayed the community there with this.
I will say the line movement on the total has made me sick. It is definitely concerning.
Weird. Yeah.
So it looks like trending towards the over. We got like 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and poll, and it's 55. Final results are 52-47. So over won the poll, but there's a lot of people that were that like what Ronald had to say there about the under. Let's move on to the next game. It's the last one. T-Wolves on the road. Clips here. Is this still 6.5 with all the injury questions? Yeah, it's still 6.5. I actually do have a bet down involving this game. You guys already know what it is if you were here for the first one.
What is it, boss?
It's the parlay.
Oh yeah.
The super sharp positive EV parlay.
It's just such a bad bet. It like flew through my brain.
Didn't you say that yesterday about my Warrior Suns one?
Yeah.
No. Didn't you say that?
Like that? Keep betting like
I think
that.
you said
very
that.
profitable long term. Keep betting like that.
This year it has been.
F you. Lucky bastard.
So yeah, I'll go first. You guys already know. You've already seen the graphic. And let's see if proper. Yeah, you made a copy of the graphic. Good for you. Good job. So I paired the Knicks money line to Clippers money line. This is not a smart way to bet, by the way. So I don't want you to see this and all of a sudden think I'm condoning betting like this. It's not. This is mathematically a stupid way to bet. But in the NBA, there's some teams that Clippers and Suns would both fit this description. There's some teams that just have a tendency to win and not cover. And when you're looking at a line like Clippers minus 6.5, I like the matchup for the Clippers. If you use numbers from the last 5 games, obviously the main story here is injuries, by the way. Both teams, serious question marks on both sides. But I like the matchup for the Clippers. If both teams were healthy, I like the matchup for the Clippers either way. If you use numbers from the last 5 games, it looks like the Clippers are starting to round back into form while Minnesota is still struggling to find themselves offensively. T-Wolves have not been a good offense since the All-Star break, even right before the All-Star break. Minnesota's really been riding their defense, which, hey, they got a great defense, but they're really struggling to score points. And the Clippers, whose defense were struggling for about almost a month, looks like the defense is finally starting to come back. In the last 5 games, they got great numbers at the basket, great numbers in the paint. So I think we're just going to start seeing the Clippers round back up and turn, because remember, they were like the best team in the league for a while. Then they couldn't cover a number, save their lives. I think the Clippers are on the way back. Remember, the last game, their loss against the Bucks, there was no Paul George, there was no Kawhi Leonard, and they were playing their second game in 22 hours. So take that game off. That's some bullshit scheduling. Why does that game even exist? So, yeah, I think the Clippers win. I think the Clippers also cover, but I'm pretty comfortable here just on my parlay with Clips and Knicks.
Want me to go next?
Cool, Kyle.
Whoever wants to.
Yeah, I'll go next. Yeah, this one was tough for me just because all the injury implications, like you mentioned here. I saw the same stuff with the Wolves, how much they struggle on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, if you look at outside of the Kings and the Blazers game where they went over their team total, other than that, they really, I mean, it's been pretty significant how bad their offense has been. But they are still playing some solid defense. And like you said, with the Clippers, I think at some point they're going to turn that defense back around. There's one thing about what people mention, like how teams can kind of flip back and forth from being good at something and bad at something. If a team was never good at something, they're not going to bounce back. They're just going to continue to struggle, right? But this Clippers team was good on the defensive side of the ball. Something flipped, obviously. So I think I think they can bounce back from the defensive side of the ball. And this is a situation that could kind of trigger that, right? Because you're playing a team that's struggling on the offensive side of the ball. They get that momentum. Maybe this could trigger that defense to come back alive. But for the most part, I think I wouldn't touch this until you get more clear status on the injury reports. The other day, I did take the Clippers game over right after the Kawhi and Paul George were called out because they shifted the total a lot lower because they're missing a lot of offense, but they end up missing a lot of defense with both of those guys out of the lineup as well. So to me, that was a clear spot for an over, and obviously it ended up happening. But in this situation here, I think the opposite might happen. The total has come down a little bit, but there's a whole bunch of guys here from both sides of the ball that affect the total pace of the game and all that stuff. So if Kawhi is in, Paul George is in, and then a couple of other guys from the Minnesota side, I'm not too sure as far as like percentage wise. Is Edwards going to play? I know he wants to play. He wants to play every single game, but is he going to be healthy enough is the issue. To me. So there's a lot of injury stuff going on, but to me, if PG and Kawhi are in, I'm going to do the opposite of what I did the other day and take the under if the total goes up.
I kind of like the under whether they play or not, to be honest. Obviously, having those guys guarding out on the wing sounds nice. But, yeah, I kind of would like the under either way. These two teams just played, and the score of that game was crazy, although that was like a weird spot for Minnesota, I believe. Prop Beaver, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is who's this guy, Doug, shit talking me. We're going to have a talk after
Doug,
this.
no, Doug's the guy from the Discord, bro. That's Doug.
Me and you, Doug, one-on-one. We'll have a talk after this. For this game, I have to go with the T-Wolves plus the 6.5 points here. The Clippers just simply aren't impressing me right now. They're on their third game in 4 days.
This is the wrong pick.
I don't know how many hours, but cut 2 off of it. That many hours. While the T-Wolves offense has gone to absolute shit without Cat lately, I think they can play good enough defense to cover the 6.5 point spread. T-Wolves have been better on the road lately, covering their last 5 or 7, and they've also done very well in LA, covering and winning straight up their last 3 or 4 matchups at LA, as I just said. 2 of those games, Cat was inactive, and the T-Wolves did just fine, winning by 25 combined points. Offensively, Minnesota attacks the interior, and that is the Clippers' I would say probably weakness. They're pretty mediocre defending that interior. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, the Clippers have relied heavily on their jump shooting. It's not the interior anymore that the T-Wolves' strength is. It's defending those jump shooters where their efficiency marks are in the top 7. So I just feel like this is going to be a slow-paced, disgusting, heinous game. We'll see some scrub from the T-Wolves magically shoot at a high efficiency. Kyle's going to be pulling his hair out saying, why did I bet this dumbass parlay? And I'm going to be saying, I told you so. T-Wolves up, baby. Ant-Man. Wee-wee.
Final score, 109-90 Clippers.
Wrong.
Book it.
Wrong.
Let's see what the poll thinks. Wow, dead even. 43%, 43%. So the community is dead even. Minnesota slightly does win the poll, but it must have been by a 0.1%. So, yep. Let's. You have an underdog?
Yeah, it might only be a 2, man. I'll try and throw a third in there.
Yeah, well, let's run the community parlay. By the way, both community parlays hit yesterday. College basketball.
I didn't say nothing about that.
Yeah.
And the underdog hit.
And the underdog hit. So these bets at the end went nuts yesterday. Ronald still searching for his first community parlay win. Will today be the day?
What was the odds on the parlay yesterday? Was it like 400 or something?
One was like a chalky one, plus 342. But the other one, there was a plus 590 that hit.
Okay.
So we got Knicks money line. We got Thunder money line. Wizards money line. Rockets, Spurs. Community voted Spurs, I think, in that one. I'm pretty sure that the Spurs won the poll in that one. All right, so first leg of the community parlay. Yeah, West Virginia won outright. I knew it on the live show because I put Cincinnati minus 10.5 up for me, and then Toast went last, and he made his point about West Virginia, and I knew it. I even said it. I was like, guys, I think I'm on the wrong side here. That was just like a really good point. So, yeah, West Virginia wins outright. I had UCF, though. Got that one. Oh, then what is people are celebrating in there? West Virginia's winning?
Yo, Kyle, tell that kid to shut up, bro. It's like
Probably were asked if you could have some respect while we're on the live stream.
Thank you. We're doing a show here.
So Knicks money line is going to be the first leg. That's Andy, by the way. That's who's here in the office, if you're wondering who I'm talking to. Knicks money line. So second place was Thunder. So if you voted for Thunder, you will get another chance. We got Celtics. They definitely voted Celtics. Bucks, Kings. Who won that poll? I think Bucks might have won it. No, Kings won it. I'm actually pretty sure. Kings win. Yep. Kings money line. And T-Wolves, Clippers. I think Clippers won that. Oh, no. T-Wolves won it. That was the one that was close. All right. So the winner of this one will be in, and then we'll do another vote to put the last two in. Someone asked if I ever put money on the community parlay. Yes, sometimes, but not always. I mean, I don't really bet parlays very often. So,
no, unless he's giving out 2 legs that are square and bad value.
Are you done?
I cooked. All right. I sent you the email with the underdog.
I cooked, he said. All right, so Celtics money line. He goes, I cooked. All right, so we got Thunder money line. So what we're going to do is first and second place in these two will make it. So we got Thunder money line, Wizards money line, Kings money line, T-Wolves money line.
I think that's the problem. I think I gotta put some money on the community parlay.
Yeah, maybe it's because you're
skin in the game.
Yeah, you're not. You have no skin in the game. That's what it is.
I think I'm about to do it today.
You know what? I'll do it too. I'll tell. Let me get my sports book out here.
I see somebody in the comments said Royals to win the AL. Correct, T-Wheels. Correct.
He's not joking too. He actually bet that. He was talking about it.
I love the Royals this year. Very high on them.
Your take on the Royals are going to be good is bullshit, but the AL Central should be absolutely trash. So
yeah, so
anyone could win that division. So I don't hate it, but like the Royals are not going to be good. But like I don't expect Cleveland to be good. I don't expect Minnesota to be.
The Twins too much.
The Twins are a disgraceful organization.
They're not in my highest beliefs, but I mean,
you're a Twins guy. What are you putting on a front for?
It's because they have a lot of high draft picks. They have some talent. I mean, in terms of batting numbers, they were top 10 in most categories.
We get it. You're a Twins fan.
I'm not a Twins fan. You see what allegiance I have right here.
Oh, yo, by the way, we got a chalky one for
wow,
Ronald now. Knicks, Celtics, Thunder, Wizards. All right, let me get this down.
That's plus.
I was hoping Wizards was going to be on there.
352. All right. Ronald has a chance here to get his first ever.
I got a chance. All right, let's make it happen. I'm
Knicks,
putting it on.
Thunder, Celtics. I got plus 367 on FanDuel. Prop Beaver. I'm giving us the extra.
What am I on a different FanDuel?
I mean on DraftKings.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what?
I am in. Bet placed. I'm in on the community parlay. So, community parlay. Knicks, Celtics, Thunder, Wizards plus 367. Prop Beaver also going for back-to-back underdogs here. So let's get his underdog on the screen.
I made it a bit juicier. I went instead of the over 8.5 assists, I went with the triple-double here at the 1.5x. Ooh, spooky.
Prop Beaver, something of a risk taker.
Spooksly.
All right, tell these folks what you're going for back-to-back wins here.
So good news, we're getting the SGA line under the 38.5, the key line, so that's dope. Love SGA today under that 38.5. to go higher than 38.5. My bad. And then Domantas Sabonis. I'm going with the triple double here because it's giving us the 1.5. If you parlay these two picks, I guess on underdog, it's $10 to win 45. So plus 450 here we got.
All right. And if you don't have an underdog account, it's available in any state highlighted in this map. So if you're one of the states highlighted in yellow, head over to Underdog Fantasy, the website, or download the app. When you make your account, make sure you use the promo code BET, B-E-T. That'll get you a $100 deposit bonus. So you deposit $100, use the promo code BET. They'll give you a free $100. All right. So that actually, for not the best slate of games, that show went well.
Yeah.
I feel like we got some good information there. Ronald, as always. I have you penciled in for Thursday as well.
Thursday.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be back on Thursday.
So I'll see you back on.
Shit.
Yeah, two a
Yeah.
week for Ronald. So tomorrow will be ski. Tomorrow morning, March Madness, we're doing morning specials, 10:30 a.m. We got how many games, Andy? 17? 15 as of right now. So we got a loaded morning, 10:30 a.m. for the March Madness morning special. If you'd love to join us, hopefully you can make it. And then same time for the NBA show tomorrow. I got ski coming back. Hopefully I'll be celebrating a Kings win on this show tomorrow next to ski. So thanks everyone for watching. Bet responsibly tonight. Talk to you. I'll be in the Discord. I gotta eat something. I haven't eaten anything all day, so I gotta let me get something to eat, and I'll be in the Discord in about an hour if you need me. Later.
Later, alligator.